welcome to this daily update video in which we have two things to talk about. This is Tropical Storm Blanca. Blanca actually ended up making landfall on the Baja California Peninsula as a mid-grade tropical storm near San Carlos area. Then moved into Mangrove Bay this afternoon, weakened to a tropical depression. Then you can see the center of circulation appears to have moved onshore, and it's currently, by this point in time, due to increased wind shear, most of the deep convection is located far removed from the center and over into Arizona and New Mexico and in California, and of course the Northern Gulf of California, probably creating some sort of Gulf of California moisture surge, and of course along northern Mexico, like in the states of Sonora and Baja California Norte up here. Blanca's weakened quite a bit, it's now down to a 25-knot depression. It's likely to dissipate as a tropical cycle. However, heavy rains and flooding are a major issue across the southwestern United States, as always, especially this time of year when the ground isn't as saturated. So that the plants and vegetation cannot sustain as much rainfall. So therefore, residents along the southeastern Arizona and southwestern New Mexico have to watch out for life-threatening flash floods, especially. I mean, in general, those areas get the most rain from the southwestern United States in monsoon season, so this is a little bit unusual for them. So, however, this is not entirely unprecedented. This is what the National Weather Service in Las Vegas, Nevada put out today. And as it says right here, this pattern is very typical of what you see in the late season, as I probably have said a couple times. However, with this being El Nino year, the jet stream is lower than normal, and the jet stream with this, especially since to some extent there's still somewhat of an East Coast troughing pattern, like right up here, there's still troughing along the East Coast like there has been for the last 7 years now, and with the jet stream lower than normal due to El Nino, and with the East Coast troughing pattern favoring landfalls along the northern Baja California Peninsula. As a result, even we're getting them since the jet stream is at the level it typically is in August and September. I don't know if this will continue through July. I doubt it, but we'll see. Typically the jet stream starts to recede northward in late July, early August, but we'll see. The last two of the more recent multi-year El Nino events both saw landfalling hurricanes along the Mexican coast, so I do definitely think it is a distinct possibility. Probably the most similar system compares to is Hurricane Boris in 1990. That was sort of a pre-El Nino year. That was when the EPAC was in arguably its most impressive stretch in its history, and Hurricane Boris was like a weak Cat 1. But it kind of avoided the Baja California Peninsula. It kind of dissipated the cool waters of the California current off here. So it ended up not really affecting much the land directly. However, the remnants brought some record rains, even though damage was minimal. And the records are not very hard to set because it doesn't get much rain in June. But the system did set quite a bit of record. Boris in 1990 set quite a bit of record rains across California. And I believe the monthly record was set the all-time, and I believe San Diego had the all-time wettest month all-time wettest June in the year 1990. On another note, here's the sea surface temperature map. Obviously, you have this area well above normal waters, but it's interesting to keep an eye on is that there's a small pool of significantly colder than normal waters, all induced up from Blanca, and that's what as our next system 94E should be staying away from. But it's interesting to see. You can see also Blanca, after it started, we left the main uprolling area, it kind of continued southeast for a little bit and kind of created some upwelling up here then. However, this area of upwelling is supposedly gradually going to be recovering. And within a few weeks, these, as I said in my video yesterday, my weekly update video, these should be returning to normal. And speaking of which, Invest 94E is supposed to be in this area. I mean, it's right now, NHC has given Invest 94E a 60% chance of developing within the next 2 days and a 90% chance of developing within the next 5 days. But right now, it's hurricane, I mean, not this hurricane, but this invest is not looking too impressive. However, this invest is not looking too impressive right now. However, that does not mean this invest is going to be a joke. Let's look at some of the track guidance, and the track's pretty, with the exception of the extra trap and like some of the older, shittier models from like that were made in like the 70s and 80s. Most of the modern models agree on a track with the Gulf of Tehuantepec and possibly the remnants providing, moving into the Bay of Campeche and redeveloping there. Or a few other systems, or a few of the other models where they have is, I can't tell, but that pink one, that pink model, and there's a few others that try and keep it offshore, and I'll get to see what the global models do later. I mean, here's what the GFS ensembles show. They show a pretty split agreement, and I'll get onto this a little bit later. About the 18Z run, the split agreement within the GFS ensembles, with some of them keep bringing this into the Gulf of Mexico, while others are keeping this like meandering offshore, possibly upwelling some sea surface temperature, cool sea surface temperatures. I mean, however, I would say meandering this offshore and possibly moving inland along like Manzanillo area. So it'll be interesting to see how they play out. However, the one thing the two camps, for the most part, have some pretty solid agreement on is that they agree that there will be a pretty powerful hurricane off the coast of Mexico. Let's look at the HWRF. Let's look at the 18Z GFS. I mean, let's not take the pressure literally. It's kind of copied over, so the point is that the GFS shows a pretty formidable tropical cyclone approaching into the Gulf of Tehuantepec area, and if it were to continue on its present course, we'll likely have it emerging into the Bay of Campeche and the Gulf of Mexico, and possibly developing to something in the Atlantic. Here's what the HWRF shows. This model, remember, was not too bullish with Blanca, and it was somewhat correct. But it did overdo that upwelling with Blanca. But however, this appears relatively on track. This hurricane appears that, concerns from this model, from the 18Z run, at least, Zul run, was that this hurricane will become quite powerful as it nears the Pacific coast. And it's reflected as such in the satellite imagery. You can see the enhanced satellite imagery, with its projected satellite imagery in 84 hours, and it does show quite a powerful hurricane. Let's look at some of the track differences, however. Let's take a look at the European first. The 12Z European, and most of the European, for the most part, have been trying to keep this offshore. I mean, the European does have a very good track record at being correct, at being the first one. What usually will happen in situations, the JFS will first sniff out of a scenario, then it will ban it, then the European will sniff out of it, then the European will stick with it for several days. While the other models are in La La Land, and before eventually the models start forming a consensus with the European. The European shows higher pressure over the Pacific Northwest and Gulf of Alaska area, and doesn't show as much of a trough. As a result, probably has a system parallel to the Mexican coast, rather than being steered inland because of this trough up in the British Columbia, or this weak trough like in the Four Corners region. If any of those two were stronger, I would think the models would be a bit more bullish on bringing, at least the European models and ensembles, on bringing a hurricane into Mexico, but they aren't. However, the JFS is a little bit more mixed. This is the 12Z Zulu JFS run. The 12Z1 brought this into Mexico. You can see it here. You can see some better troughing here. You can still see the trough up in the British Columbia area is a little bit more elongated, while this trough is a little bit more pronounced here. Even though it actually does, quite interestingly, and it looks like it appears that it's getting caught up in this trough, even though it actually does show a pretty broad ridge across the Baja California Peninsula. It appears that this trough wins out in the 12Z Zulu run, probably because it does show quite a powerful hurricane. Powerful hurricanes tend to be attracted towards troughs, and as such, the 12Z will move this into Mexico. The 18Z Zulu run is kind of the same kind of deal. I mean, with the ridge, with this trough north of Hawaii is a little bit south, and so is the ridge, like that was originally out the Baja California Peninsula, it's a little bit east, so there's probably a little bit more of a consensus in the 18Z run than there was in the 12Z. But you see, it's pretty much the same deal. However, I will note the most recent one that's still rolling out shows a less pronounced and shows a different angling of the trough, and as a result, it shows a parallel to the coast track rather than it moving inland. You can see, however, as I said, it's kind of illustrated right here. This looks like more of a typical parallel to the coast track. It's interesting to see how this plays out. The model wars remind me a little bit of Hurricane Bud and Lana from 2012, which was a bit uncertainty on whether those would make an exact landfall or not. Anyhow, that'll wrap up this video. Bye!